Hi guys, Bryce here. Welcome back to Bryce Line Cookery. Today's video is going to be knife skills and knife cuts. Basically just showing you guys how to cut certain vegetables the right way without hurting yourself. So enough talking, let's get into it. Alright guys, what we're going to be cutting is onion, potato, carrot, shallot, parsley, tomato, a smaller potato that we use for garnishing, and garlic. But before we get into that, I want to show you guys how to properly hold your knife and how to properly have certain hand placement on any of these items that you're cutting to prevent you from hurting yourself. Alright guys, so the first thing in holding a knife is basically holding it so that it's stable whenever you're cutting things. So the proper way to hold it is your index finger here, your thumb here, and your hand should be a little bit above the handle. So that way, whenever you're cutting, your knife is stable and you have full control. Versus you holding your knife like this, it's wobbly. It's wobbly, you don't have much control, and then something can happen. So it's better to hold your knife like this, so that way it's easier to cut things. If you want to speed up, you can speed up. If you want to slow down, you can slow down. So that's the proper way to hold a chef's knife. And it's the same way with holding a paring knife. You hold it just like that. So the first thing we're going to start off with is our onion. So I've peeled these things already ahead of time to save up on time. But I've learned two ways how to cut an onion. I've learned diced and I've learned sliced. So I'm going to show you both ways on how to cut it. So first, what you do is you obviously cut the root down on both sides. You peel it. And then what you want to do, since you want both sliced and diced, you want to cut it down the middle on the root. So you do that. And then for sliced, you want the root, you want this part facing towards you. So I have it facing towards me, and I have my knife like this, and I want to slide down. I want to continue to slide down. I want to continue to slide down. Now I'm holding this way because I'm left-handed, so I hold it a different way, but you should hold it like this. But since I'm left-handed, I get a better grip by holding it like this. So that's how you do that. And then you just simply tear it apart. And then you have your sliced onion. Your sliced onion. So next, what we're going to do is the diced onions. So for the diced onions, once again, you want the root facing towards you, but for the dice, you're going to be slicing down. And not slicing down all the way through. You're only slicing down halfway down the onion, because you still want the onion to be all together, so that way nothing is falling apart on you. And it's okay to hold the onion like this to keep it stable. After you do that, once you cut the lines towards you, you want to turn it this way. And then you want to turn your knife sideways. So you can either hold it like this to keep the knife from sliding all the way through, because sometimes it will do that on you, or you can hold it like this. So I prefer to hold it like this, and I just simply like move my fingers up. So you do that on the first layer, then you go up on the second layer, and go up on the third layer. So that's all that is to it. And then once you get done with that, you simply want to cut down. So when you cut down with things like these, you want to not just cut down, but you want to cut across. So as you're cutting down, you're cutting across. So that's how it should be, just like that. And of course, you can slide the onions off if you need to, because that helps me a lot. And you just cut through. Cut through. And that is how you do sliced and diced onions. And that's the difference between the two. Alright, so what we're going to be cutting is a potato. Now the way we're going to be cutting this potato is in bâtonnet. Now bâtonnet is just a way of cutting the potato. You cut the potato for certain reasons. The main reason is presentation and also even cooking all around. So the way we're gonna cut this potato in bâtonnet is we're gonna square it off. So cut the ends, both ends. Cut those. Then you just basically square it off. You square it off so that whenever you're cutting it, it doesn't move on you and all of that. Cut it down. So now it's all squared off. Now I basically just have to make sure that I do it evenly cut. So you just have to go down that way. And now when you're in a commercial kitchen, it'll be a lot faster than this, but I usually take my time when I'm making these cuts anyway, because in the past I've been graded on it. So I like to take my time. So you do that. And then once you get done with that, I usually like to square them off again, so that way I can get even more cuts. Well, a more evenly cut. So you can cut it down that way. And you can cut it down this way. So once you do that, you just align it all up and you just cut down. Now as you do this more, you'll catch an eye for it on what length to look for. And my chef instructors are pretty picky on these sizes and whatnot. So what I usually do is I usually align them together, and I usually just take a little bit off, so that way I can meet their length requirement. So basically, this is a bâtonnet. Not all of them are even, but I mean, like I said, I just use it for practice. So this would be a perfect bâtonnet right here, a perfect bâtonnet. This one is a little bit more rectangular, but it's still, I still try my best to square it off, and that's pretty much all you do. And that is part of a bâtonnet. The next thing that we're gonna cut is the carrot. The carrot is similar to the potato, but we're gonna cut the carrot in small dice. So how you do that is basically just cut the ends off again. Cut the ends off. And then what you want to do is cut the carrot in half. Now usually when you cut the carrot in half, it's better to get the bigger end, because you're going to slightly square it off, but this is the proper way to square off a carrot. So you're gonna cut down, all the way down, and then you just simply gotta turn it and cut down. And turn it again, cut down, and then do it one more time. So once you do that, you're gonna have kind of a small carrot, but you just want to simply cut it down again, down again. So the next thing you want to do is, I would probably say, since this is a small carrot, just cut it in half and then cut the other one in half. So basically this was a bâtonnet like before, but it's a lot much longer than a bâtonnet. But since it's small dice, that doesn't matter. We're just gonna cut it into a small dice, and that will be that. So once again, you align them up so you get an even cut. And I usually, like I said, I usually like to take a little bit off, so that way you can get an even cut, and then just cut down. And you cut down. And then here you have it. So small dice. So like I said, it's just like the bâtonnet, but except I'm doing it with a carrot and it's small dice, and you do that a little bit differently with the carrot. The next thing that we're gonna cut is the garlic. Now the garlic, all we're gonna do is do a simple mince. It's a simple cutting method. Anybody can do it, and it's really easy to use. So all you're gonna do is just simply cut down the first time. It's just basically a method that you go back and forth. Just basically rocking the knife back and forth and just getting a fine series of cuts in the garlic. And it may be a little time consuming, but people use it for flavor, garnishing, all of that. So for me, I like to take my time with it and cut it. And so does my peers at school, and so does my chef instructor. He likes to take his time with his garlic as well as his parsley. And it also gets kind of sticky on your knife and fingers. But once you get that done, and then that's basically the parsley. I mean, not the parsley, the garlic. So, and that's basically all garlic is, just minced garlic. The next thing that we're gonna do is parsley. Now simply we're just mincing the parsley just like we did with the garlic. Now an easy way to get it minced really well is to just basically kind of crunch and mush all of the parsley together so that way it stays in one place and it isn't moving around, and it's easier to cut the first time. So once you do that, pinch it tight and then just slowly cut down. Now the leaves will move on you, but once again, it's just like the garlic, simple mincing going back and forth. Just a simple rocking back and forth motion on the parsley. Get it nice and fine. And there you have it. Nice parsley. It's just like the garlic. It gets everywhere. It gets on your knife. It gets on your hands. But like I said, it's good for garnishing. It's good to put in soups and whatnot. And there you have it. All right. So what we have next is a tourne potato. So I'll be showing you guys how to get from this potato to this potato. So like I said, pretty much this potato, a tourne potato, is basically just for garnishing and whatnot. You can eat it. It is good. When you saute it and whatnot, it's really good. It's used for garnishing. So I'm going to show you guys how to do a tourne potato. Now it's good. It's obviously good to have small potatoes like this. I've never done it with a regular potato. I'm sure you would have to cut it down and whatnot. But with a tourne potato, it's fairly easy. You just hold your knife like this, and you hold the potato like this. And you want to glide the knife across the potato, so that way all the skin comes off, and so that way you have the sides like this. So what you're going to do is hold the potato like this. You're going to simply glide your knife across the potato. And glide your knife across the potato. So our chef instructor said that it's easier to do it with an egg, to practice with an egg, because an egg is so round. And it's technique, and he said that that it will teach you the technique of it. But I've been doing a tourne potato for quite some time, for a little bit of time, not that much, but I just thought it was something really cool to show you guys. So that's basically a tourne potato. And you just get it smooth on all sides. And it does get time consuming because you want the tourne potato to be even on all sides. You don't want a side to be bigger than the other. And you want it to be a good size as well. You don't want it to be too big, but you don't want it to be too small. So that's basically how to do a tourne potato. So that's how to do tourne potatoes. All right, guys, so the last thing I'm going to show you is a concassé tomato. Now, all a concassé tomato is a parboiled tomato that cooks it enough to remove the skin but not to actually cook it. So I'm going to show you guys how to cut a concassé tomato. So all I did was cut a little incision on both sides of the tomato, put it in boiling water, boiled it for about 5 to 15 seconds, and then once the skin starts to kind of secrete and shrinking, then you can remove it, put it in the ice bath, and then remove the skin. And then once you do that, it's smooth like this. So I'm going to show you guys how to cut a concassé tomato. So you're basically just going to cut down like this. I'm going to cut it down like that. So once you do that, you want to remove the seeds from it. So how you do that is just you basically take your paring knife. You want to go from the root, the top of it, and just slightly go down to get under all the seeds. Get under all the seeds. So you want to get rid of all the seeds. Go under all the seeds and whatnot. And then usually what you would do after you remove all of it, you just put it back in the ice bath so you can remove the excess seeds from it. And it's great for presentation and whatnot. So it's really, really good to use. So you do that. And then once you do that, all you do is put it in the ice bath for a little bit. Take it back out of the ice bath, dry it with a paper towel, put a paper towel over it to make it dry, to not have so much moisture on it. And then there you go, you have concassé tomatoes. Alright guys, this is the final plate. I have everything on here but the shallots. The shallots I got weren't good enough, so I couldn't cut those correctly. But I have everything else on here. I have these small diced carrots. I have the minced garlic, I have the sliced onion, I have the diced onion, I have the concassé tomato, I have the minced parsley, I have the tourné potato, and I have the bâtonnet potato. I just hope you guys really liked this video, enjoyed this video, and learned a lot from it. Just make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I just really hope that you guys enjoyed the video. So this is Bryce from Bryceline Cookery, and I'll see you guys next time.